Anyone that has ever stood on the mountaintop of success is also laid in the valley of defeat. Success is not an overnight miracle. It's achieved through hours, months, and years of working on your craft while sometimes fighting through pain and negativity. Before you begin your path to success, you need to understand that you will fail at some point. This is an absolute truth and there's no way around it. With 100% certainty, I can tell you that you will fail at some point as you pursue success. But that's okay. The only real failure is never having tried. Failure is okay as long as you don't let it be permanent. But you will fail. The sooner you accept that fact, the sooner that you can overcome the fear of failure. Overcoming the fear of failure is absolutely vital to success because if you fear failure, you'll be too afraid to move forward. And moving forward, despite the challenges and the failures, is how you succeed. As my man Rocky Balboa said, it ain't about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. It's how much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Of course, you don't set out to fail, but it is an inevitable fact for those that take their shot. I'm a winner, and I don't intend to fail. But I know that failure is just part of the process. You know who doesn't fail? People who don't try. People who sit on their couch dreaming about what could have been if they had only taken a chance. But failure isn't permanent. That is very important to know. Let's say it again. Failure isn't permanent. No matter how big or small, failure is simply a bump in the road. As long as you don't let it stop you, you have to keep going when failure stands in your way. You have to tackle that beast and run through it no matter how much it hurts. The path to success is a war, with failure only being a few lost battles. The key is to quickly forget those battles and focus on winning the larger war. Those that we often label as the quote-unquote most successful people in the world have also been some of the greatest failures in the world. They were rejected, told no, fired, kicked out, and evicted. But they did not let their failures stop them. They overcame and persevered, and that is why we know them today as so successful. They did not become who they are today without having sat in that dark corner with tears in their eyes, questioning themselves about whether or not they really had what it took. The difference between them and others, the differentiator that eventually made them the quote-unquote most successful people in the world, is that they kept going when that dark moment hit. They walked through that dark valley, stared failure in the face, and said, "You will not defy me. I will not be stopped." Want to hear about some? Well, did you know that Walt Disney was fired from one of his first jobs at the Kansas City Star newspaper because he lacked imagination and had no good ideas? That's what they said about him. Soon after that, he owned a small animation studio that eventually went bankrupt. If Walt had quit after those failures, no one would know the name Walt Disney today. It would be as meaningless as the name John Smith. But he persevered and created the greatest entertainment empire that the world has ever seen. How about Steven Spielberg, perhaps the greatest film director of all time? He was rejected 3 times from the USC School of Film, Theater, and Television. He later went on to direct such iconic film classics as Jaws, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T., Jurassic Park, The Color Purple, Saving Private Ryan, and Lincoln. And as for the USC School of Theater, Film, and Television, well, they awarded Spielberg an honorary doctorate and even named a building after him. Who out there knows Sarah Blakely? You may know her as the founder of Spanx and the owner of the Atlanta Hawks. She initially wanted to be a lawyer, but did so poorly on the LSAT admissions test that she never made it into law school. She then moved back in with her mother and worked at Disney World, where she wanted to be goofy, but was deemed too small, so she had to settle for being one of the chipmunks. She later moved on to selling fax machines, which she did for 7 years before coming up with the idea of Spanx. But it was still a grind from there. She had to write her own patent, was rejected by numerous manufacturers and department stores, and spent her first year selling her products from a table inside of a Neiman Marcus and handling her own shipping. Today she is a billionaire and one of the most influential business leaders in the world. Everyone that has ever been successful has failed. Think of all the people that you view as successful. Michael Jordan, Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, Wolfgang Puck, Oprah Winfrey, Sheryl Sandberg. They've all failed on multiple occasions. They failed because they tried, because they took their shot, and they succeeded because they overcame those failures and didn't let them be the end of their story. Take your shot. Embrace the failure, knowing full well that its only power against you is if you let it end your story. Hi, and thanks so much for checking out my YouTube channel. I love making these videos and I hope that you love watching them. If you do like the videos and find them helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe, and even share it. By doing so, you help to push the message to more people, which in turn allows us to help more people identify and achieve the career of their dreams, or what I call the Dream Vocation. And if that's you, if you're stuck trying to figure out your career path, I invite you to take my online course called Identifying and Achieving Your Dream Vocation. You can find it on my website, thedreamvocation.com, or in the description of this video. It is nearly 5 hours of course content that provides you with actionable plans to not only identify the career of your dreams, but also to achieve it. So if you're ready to begin going after your dreams and living the life that you deserve, this course will help you to get there. Love you all. Have a great one.